What up, ladies and gents? Doing a new Adonis review for Resident Evil 4 Remake in VR, captured right now on the PSVR 2. I have recently put this in my top 10 PSVR 2 games of 2023, which is the only year that PSVR 2 has been out. And this game is brand new, just came out, and it's been put on it by me. And I haven't done a review on it, so I thought I would. So I'll try to make this quick and to the point, starting off on the fact of where my viewpoint on Resident Evil is. As a young lad growing up as a wee little boy, I was never a fan of Resident Evil. I did enjoy the movie, the original movie and Apocalypse, the first two movies, were sure spiffy, but I never was one to play the games. When the original Resident Evil 4 came out, never played it, never cared to play it. When Resident Evil 5 came out, never cared to play it. When Resident Evil 6 came out, it looked interesting, kind of was piquing my attention, but still not enough to really care to try it. And of course, when Resident Evil 7 came in and remade the genre, it truly was, a game to finally give a try. And it got me into Resident Evil. And then we move on to the fact that that game was made into a VR adaptation, which was done fantastically. There's no going back from there. A high quality AAA game that is a joy to play, has a good amount of action in it, as well as a good amount of fear, even with the fact of the action. One of the main faults with the first Resident Evil 7 is mainly only the fact that there's a very limited enemy base. The whole game really breaks down to the boss fights being memorable and unique, and then, use of goo monsters. Obviously, Resident Evil Village, all they did was make everything better when that came out. So we know that Capcom can make a Resident Evil game. We know they can increase the remakes and make those fantastic. And we know they can make VR. And then they adapt Resident Evil 4 into VR originally with just the remastered version, the HD version of it. And then the remake came out, which basically brought up to Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake status. So when you think about how is the graphics going to compare when the VR version of the HD remaster just came out not so long ago, within the past 2 years, are they really going to make it look as good as we would hope? And they did. So graphically, this game doesn't miss a beat. It is stunning. One of the main reasons I think they probably didn't wait too long to make this game is because Village just came out, and it's essentially the same type of theme, a village colony with tormented villagers have been infected, going crazy on you. So if you're going to do a VR game and the general premise of it is 100% exactly like the premise of Resident Evil Village, why wouldn't you make Resident Evil 4 at the same exact time to market and benefit off of that? Because, I have to imagine that came into play when we're talking about the ease of transitioning into these high-level graphics here. If you could see what I'm looking at right now, everything doesn't always transition over into a YouTube 2D, but it feels like I'm in the Blair Witch Project in real life. Like, these graphics are incredible. Not one beat missed. This is 100% better than 99% of VR games that are out and made nowadays. Isn't that sad? That a remake of a fucking game made in around 2005, adapted into VR, is better than almost every VR game out to this day. So When you take that in consideration, that already pushes this game into one of the must-played games for the VR2, with a library that is slowly expanding, but unfortunately we're not getting the leaps and bounds we've been hoping for when it comes to VR games. You know, we started off with a great somewhat beginning with Village and Call of the Wild looking really good and coming out, but since those kind of big names they've created, there's not a lot since then that have really came close to, you know, the hype that those made. And so that's why this game I put as number 4 on my top 10 list. Spoiler, because it is fantastic looking. They've also adapted the controls splendidly. So, you know, grabbing the gun, grenades, knife, everything is fine-tuned with the fact that you can reload naturally, you know, grab weapons off the back. They have a good amount of weapon slots. You know, not only do you have the pistol, grenade, and the knife here is an easy thing. The knife also is throwable like it was in Village, but you also get the side panels, and you get 2 back handles as well. So you are decked out for battling. Ammo is, of course, in the average difficulty, pretty fair to say the least. You know, you can maybe run out of ammo on the guns that you want to hold, you know, the most, like the shotgun per se, but it definitely gives you enough ammo on the back end to keep you safe and never really feeling like a huge pressure of not being able to get it. Which really goes to the main only gripe, I guess you could say, with this game, especially since it came out right after Village, so you would hope that they would at least do it, and that is the interactiveness with everything isn't fully made. Like, for example, this drawer should be something that you should be able to interact with. Simple enough, but it is not. And that goes for basically all drawers in that same fashion. If there is a drawer that you can open, which of course there is, that's how you find ammo and shit, you just have to press X and it just opens up, and that's how you can get it. You know, it's not a big deal at all. It's just, you know, it's that little bit of immersion that to me feels like a simple thing to do, and it's one of the things that it's missing. Same thing goes with the ladders. You know, of course, like my saying is, I guess, in a saying that is not really existent that I'm making up right now, but VR is essentially 3 main things nowadays. It is shooting and stabbing and swordplay, and it is ladders and climbing. You know, climbing, guns and swords. That is the bulk of what you can do with VR, really, nowadays. You can climb mountains and shoot guns and slice things, and those things work perfectly when it comes to, you know, the VR version of things. You know, it's very easy to make you feel like you're actually in a game holding a gun or slashing swords. Obviously, slashing swords is a little bit more difficult in the blocking sense, and, you know, actually having like a real sword fight where it doesn't feel off in sorts. But overall, you know, those transfer pretty well, and so does climbing. And when something simple like climbing isn't done in this, it just, you know, is another easy hit that they missed. But with that being said, everything else is perfect. Like I said earlier, never played Resident Evil 4 as a youth, and as I've grown up, I've heard about how amazing it is, how it's, you know, just one of the greatest games, you know, of our generation. Who the fuck is that? That's not good. You fucking cunt. What do I have? Fuck you! Stupid fucker. And look at this. That's the last kind of gripe there. It's funny to do the roundhouse kick like that. but it takes away the immersion. Now, I don't know how you would do a roundhouse kick with immersion. It might get people sick, so maybe it's best they left it that way rather than taking it out, I suppose. But the roundhouse kick in 3D is kind of funny. But it takes away. But out of everything, if they would have left that, but took away everything else, you know, left climbing in, and just the roundhouse kick was left in a third-person view, I think this would be pretty much a perfect game. But I digress. Oh, and like I was saying about, you know, the Resident Evil 4 has always been a game that has been considered one of the greatest games of our generation, and it's a game I've always resisted playing because I was unwilling to play a game that looked that old. And when they came out with the HD remaster of it, it still didn't look good enough for me to warrant it worth a try, mainly because of the type of game it was. I just wasn't willing to do it. Pushing to the first VR remaster of it, I would have tried that, honestly, if that didn't come out, and then with their immediate foreshadowing of this coming out in the near future. And then the remake of this came out, and I was like, shoot, you know, I don't know how long it's going to take for the VR version to come out. And I've been liking the VR, the HD remakes or whatever that have came out for 2 and 3. So I'll try that, you know, that'll be my first official trying of Resident Evil 4. Luckily, I got distracted with so many games, and I was able to appreciate this game for the first time in VR with fantastic graphics. And it's a treat. This game truly is 100% a must-have. If you have a VR 2, PSVR 2, and this isn't a game you buy along with Village, you know, which are always both reasonably priced, then I don't know what you bought it for. It's a must-have game, and this game also is a free upgrade if you already own it, so you don't even have to pay an upgrade fee or anything. And like I said, this game is by far better than most PSVR 2 games. So they really are making it a no-brainer to get this. So it's worth it. I don't know. I mean, like I said, you get this game as an upgrade for buying the normal game, and the normal game always goes on sale. I think it was even on sale. You know, if it's not on sale now, it was on sale, you know, last week for $20, I think, the game. So, I mean, if that's the case and you hear this, you know, go buy it. This game is 100%, you know, a better looking game than Arizona Sunshine 2, and a definitely more styled and detailed game. And the story, of course, is based off a normal game, so everything about it is typically better. And Arizona Sunshine 2 is charging $50 for it, and I think the full price for this game is probably $40 just for the normal game, and that's on if you know you don't get a sale, which you typically always will. So $40 is definitely a fair price to have this collection added to your PSVR 2 collection. And like I said, anything below that, it's a fair price too. And you can easily find this game for $20. So even if you don't want to pay $40 for it, wait a week or two. With PlayStation Store gives you new discounts and deals every 2 weeks. I guarantee you sometime within the next 2 months, for a fact, it will be back to $20, and you should cop it then. So hope that helps you make a decision on this game if you were somehow unsure. And that's it. Later, guys.